I was originally going to do 29 things. We're going a little behind, so I'm going to try to catch up with the schedule. So I'm going to skip a bunch of these. Why did I pick 29? There was a BuzzFeed article. There was, you know how BuzzFeed has the lists like, 25 ways to know that you're like a 90s kid or something. They did a test, and it showed that 29 was the best number to put in their articles. But then you'll see 25, and you'll see 31. So it really doesn't matter. I'm going to set a quick timer. All right. Because I'm going to be skipping a lot of stuff, and people often ask me if they can get the slides, I've just gone ahead and tweeted a link to the slides. They're online. So if you check out my Twitter, it's MATTAN GRIFFEL, the last thing I tweeted is just a link to them, so you can follow along or see some of the ones that I don't have time to talk about. They're all online. So don't worry too much about getting everything down. So one of the things you hear a lot if you talk to growth hackers or people in growth hacking is that there is no silver bullet. And that is certainly true. There's no one thing out there that's going to help your product grow if it's not currently growing. Most often the problem is that people have a product that hasn't quite found what they call product market fit, meaning that they haven't built something that people really need yet. Like maybe it's close, or maybe it's really far away, and there's nothing you can do, there's nothing I can tell you or anyone can tell you that's going to help you figure out how to get more users if your product sucks, and that's unfortunate, right? So I also think growth hacking in reality is really just like a set of best practices and frameworks that people follow. That being said, fuck that, let's talk about silver bullets. It's just kind of more fun that way. And before I actually get into it, my company is 1 month. We teach people how to code online in 1 month, and it's 15 minutes a day. So that's what we do. We have a growth hacking class. So that's where a lot of this stuff comes from. And so if you want to learn more about it and really dive deeper into growth hacking, check out onemonth.com. All right, so number 1, measure happiness. What does this mean? There's a famous question called Net Promoter Score. And it's this question here on the right, which is how likely are you to recommend this product to a friend or a colleague? You ask people to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, and then you take the people who give you a 9 and a 10, and those are the people who love your product, and everyone that gives you below a 6 doesn't like your product, and they're probably going to badmouth you if someone asks them, and you measure the difference. This is a really good question to ask. There are 2 great tools for doing this. One's called Qualaroo, and the other is called Promoter.io. At least 2 that I've used. There's probably plenty other out there. The cool thing about this question, first of all, is it's going to get you a lot of really interesting insight into why people love your product or why they don't like your product. What I like to do is ask this question, and then when I'm releasing new features in my product, release the feature to only a subset of my users and see if it actually affects their happiness with a product. Because a lot of times you'll find that you release something and it actually makes the product worse. So you don't want to be going in that direction overall. This is also probably the best way to measure referral, because really referral comes from people talking about your product at a bar or in person or telling their friend. There's no way you're ever going to actually be able to measure that online, but this question will get at that for you. A little bit of a pro tip. If you're using a tool like Qualaroo, you can ask your promoters to share your product right after they give you a 9 or a 10. So in this case, for everyone that gives us a 9 or a 10, we show them this picture, and then we ask them to share. We also ask them to join our affiliate program so they can make money sharing our product. The people who give it a 6 or below, do not ask them to share. They're not going to say good things. Number 2, create more landing pages. There's one study that shows that companies with 10 or more landing pages get 55% more signups. What does that mean? I literally mean more landing pages for the same product, just multiple landing pages. Here's what it looks like. This is HubSpot's main landing page, and then they have this, that, social inbox, CMS, contacts. These are all different landing pages for the same, this one looks different, but it's the same product. Each of these is addressing a different need that this one product actually solves for a customer. So no matter who you are, there's a page out there that's actually talking to you. Each page should be almost entirely unique, different offers, different customer segments, different unique selling points. And as a pro tip, if you're doing any paid advertising, do not send people to your homepage, send people to a landing page. You're going to get way lower conversion rates if you just send people to your homepage. And you can start to target based on what are the ad groups that you're doing, what are the audiences that you're targeting, send them to a page created for them. Number 3, use paid ads to test headlines and images. All right, so I think there are 2 major problems with testing landing pages, and these are 2 landing pages that we have for 2 of our courses. The first is that you might not get enough traffic to test. If you're not getting that many users, it's hard to run too many tests. And the second is that there are too many things to test. If you have a long page, there's images, there's copy at multiple points, there's the actual place that the buttons are. All that stuff just gets in people's way. What's the difference between a landing page and an ad? Well, most paid ads have all of the key elements of a landing page, headline, body copy, and an image, with like nothing else. I think of them as like tiny little landing pages, right? So you can use paid ads for testing, and it saves you both time and money, right? You just measure click-through rate over the impressions. And if you're only paying for clicks, then actually you can get a ton of impressions and not pay very much. Here are 2 or a few examples that we have. For our growth hacking class, we did the same ad, but we tested growth hacking for beginners versus digital marketing online bootcamp. This one did 35% better. So this is the one that we put on our homepage. We just took the lesson from that and put it onto our homepage. This is our HTML class. Learn HTML and CSS did way better than build a website, about 18% better. With our 1-month Rails class, actually, we managed to find a variation that did 135% better than build a web app. So unlike in this one, where Learn HTML and CSS was way better than build a website, in this case, Learn Rails is way better than build a web app. Make sure, though, if you're doing this, that you turn off conversion optimization. A lot of paid advertising platforms like Facebook and Google AdWords will have a little button that they automatically do that's like, as soon as they see one ad start to do better, they're going to drive all the traffic to it. That's not going to get you good results, at least if you're A/B testing between ads. So you have to turn this one off. Otherwise, like one of these variations will get very little traffic, not enough to actually statistically tell you that it's worse or better. And as like an additional tip, use ad targeting to test your audience as well. Because now you can start to like identify, put the same ad out there once you've found a really good one to 2 different audiences and start to figure out, is it males or females that convert better? Is it a certain age group? Is it a certain interest, right? Number 4 is setting up redirects for link tracking. This is something simple that we did, but sometimes you aren't able to actually decide what link goes in somewhere. So we created a whole set of redirects, like onemonth.com/leanconf actually takes people to this really long page with all the UTM parameters and stuff. The reason for doing this, actually, is that you could provide discount codes and do better tracking. And you can use them during talks, like if you're speaking at a conference. No one's going to remember that long thing. It's impossible for me to even say out loud. But if I'm doing an advertising on like a podcast ad or on flyers or in person, people will remember the top one. It's not that hard. And use Bitly if you don't want to build your own service, right? Just give people a short Bitly ad that puts all the UTM parameters in there for tracking. Okay, number 5, remove landing page links. So remove links from your landing page that distract people from your call to action, the main thing that you want them to do on your site. Here's a weird example, right? This site has home, blog, about us, and contact us, links that are just about on every site on the web. They had a 91% higher conversion rate by removing those links. It doesn't seem relevant, right? Like, why would those links actually distract people? Well, they do. Whoops. Okay. Another example of the same thing. This is an e-commerce site that has like a menu bar with more options of things to check out. And by removing that, they increase conversion rates by 100%. My favorite example of this was actually shown to me by someone who's speaking here today, Jamie Quint, which was that Groupon shows you 2 different landing pages depending on how you get to their site. Like, most people don't realize this, right? If you search for them on Google, you'll see the site on the left. If you go there directly, you're going to see the site on the right. What's the difference? The footer. And the footer's not even visible when you actually go there. You have to scroll down to get it. But if you go there directly, you don't see the footer. And why is that? Well, it's because Groupon knows that the footer has links that are going to distract you from doing what they want you to do when you get to the site, right? Just the fact that it's there means that they're going to get less emails. But then why did they have it in the first place? Well, it's because the footer is really important for SEO, And so when Google comes to the site, they need to be able to see it. But if you get there directly, you don't. Another tip, I'd say test out minimal landing pages. There's a blog post that I wrote on Andrew Chen's blog as a guest blog, noticing that if you look at the landing pages of some of the top startups out there, they're super simple, right? One sentence, an image, call to action, all on the homepage, right? Just over and over and over again. And so you start to wonder, why are these all so similar? Well, maybe it's because they're easier to test. Maybe it's because there are less distractions on them, right? And a lot of people think that it might work for these guys, but it won't work for their startups. Well, I'd say test it, right? Because, I mean, there's a reason why everyone that does optimization of their pages ends up with a site like that. And this is especially true for checkout pages. Amazon, for example, which is like one of the most cluttered sites in the world, once you get to the checkout, they remove nearly all the links, including the little logo in the corner. A lot of the sites do this, if you really take a look. OK, there's a great tool called Qualaroo by a guy named Sean Ellis, who is actually the guy who came up with the term growth hacking. I highly recommend it for getting customer feedback. This is just a short one, but you can use it to discover sign-up hesitations. It's this little widget in the bottom right corner that asks people questions. It's the same one that does Net Promoter Score, right, that I showed earlier. You can see if there's info missing on your site by just asking, were you able to find the information you're looking for? Me and my co-founder have questions all the time that we will argue about, but at the end of the day, there's no way to answer the question besides asking people. So we've gotten in a habit of asking at least one question every week. And the question right now is why are you taking this class? Are you intending to finish it all? Is it for business, or do you just kind of want to take it in your own pace? And he thinks that people are not really intending to finish necessarily, whereas I think everyone tries to finish, they just don't. So how can we figure out why they don't? Or customer intentions. It'll help you come up with ideas for things to test. I think that's probably the best reason to do this. Number 7, buying demographic data about your users. There is a site called Rapleaf that's now called Tower Data. You can give them the emails of your users, and they will send you back all the information they know about them, because they scrape and they buy this stuff. So if you don't know, like, if your audience mostly male or female, is it a certain age group, they know all of this stuff based on the emails, and it costs like $100 or $200. So it's definitely worth it. Number 8. This is something I'll call splitting the ask. A lot of sites and products make the mistake of asking you to do way too much up front, right? If your ask is too high up front, you're alienating potential users. And that's because there's this high activation threshold, right? Someone is barely really, convinced that they need this product, and you're asking them already to like pay you money or to give you all the information. You're losing a lot of people who might be on the fence. So what I do is split this up. Instead of just going directly for a sign-up, try to get someone's email once they visit your site, and then later ask them for a sign-up. If you focus on just one little thing, like an email address, people are way more likely to do it, and it's not that risky, right? So give them an incentive for their email, like an ebook or a white paper or a video, and then later build a relationship and educate them by sending them valuable content. And then it gets much easier to actually get them to pay you money down the line. So why does it work? It lowers the activation risk at each point, right? It's very easy for someone to unsubscribe, so they're not risking very much. It simplifies your ask. It allows you to test more things, and it really breaks it down. So a lot of people say email doesn't work for my business. I don't know why they say this. If it works for Starbucks, it works for like HubSpot, it'll work for you. Let's just get creative. OK, number 9, test weird button call to action copy. There are lots of case studies out there that show that weird things like I'm in or like get into this, instead of just submit, increases the conversion rate. In fact, just be weirder in general. I'm a big fan of it. This is one of my favorites. This is Ramit Sethi, and when you sign up for his mailing list, he shows this face, and there's like a countdown that says like, I'm sad because you haven't clicked confirm the link. And the countdown doesn't do anything. Like it's not a countdown to anything. It's just counting down 5 minutes, and it makes you nervous. And it makes you go open your email and be like, OK, I have to do this now. Also, I love the Groupon cat. I don't know if you guys remember the cat on Groupon that like was just really weird. If you read this, it's super bizarre. And we've done weird stuff like this. I'll show you a few examples of our site later. Number 10, use a contrasting color for your call to action. The button on your site. This is a company called Palantir. Probably the reason why their button's so hard to read is because they don't really want people to know about their site. They do like a lot of secret stuff with the government. But that's an example of what not to do. Here's an example of a good thing to do. If everything on your site is green, make your button orange. Or if it's blue, make your button green. Make it stand out. A good rule of thumb is that if you're standing 10 feet away from your computer, you should still be able to know what they want you to do, where they want you to click. AppSumo has another example, and they're just asking for an email address, right? Splitting the ask. Put your call to action on the right. This is bad, because it's on the left. This is good, because it's on the right. People read from left to right in an F pattern. So usually putting your call to action on the right is going to increase conversions. And above the fold, so not having to make people scroll down to see it. But repeat your call to action below the fold as well. Have it multiple times on your page. Basecamp is a really great example of this. Like, they tell you right up here, sign up, try it free for 60 days. As you go down the site, there's another button. As you go down to the bottom, there's a third button, in case you haven't been convinced at each point along the way. Then add reassurance copy. Basically, if people are right about to make the decision and they kind of can't decide, just put a little bit of text that is like pushes them along the way. This is Mint, and even after you've clicked I want to sign up, they give you examples of why you're going to love this. You can do this with customer testimonials. You can do this with social proof. Basecamp shows you that 5,385 people just signed up for Basecamp last week, just along the side of the form. This is a more technical one. Validate your forms in line. What does this mean? Well, this means that if you're giving people an error, like your email address didn't match, or like, I don't know, something else, don't make them click submit just to find that out. Show them as soon as they leave that field. It actually boosts completion rates, right? Because having them actually go all the way through and then back is going to make them get confused. They don't know exactly where they messed up. In their case, he actually has this little hand that points, which is kind of creepy when you think about it, but it tells you exactly what you have to do. And then he smiles. I think that's adorable, right? He's sad, and now he's smiling. Remove your coupon field. So if you're actually like a product that's asking people to pay, don't put a little thing that says, enter your coupon code. How many people here have seen this thing and then immediately gone to Google and searched for promo code? I do this always because I don't want to be a sucker. If I know that there's a coupon code out there and like they told me that there's coupon codes, I want to find one. And then sometimes I'll like end up on this site, and then the coupon code won't work, and then I'm like frustrated. And now I don't want to sign up for this site, right? Now I feel bad. So how do we deal with this? We put our coupon codes in the URLs that people can go to directly from ads or like through redirects, and then they show up as hidden fields on our site. But it's nowhere on the actual page. So you can inject it into a hidden field. Number 16, use exit intent pop-ups. There's a great site called Bounce Exchange. Actually, it's like really spammy looking. It's not that great, but they kind of pioneered some of this technology, which is you're on the page. Let's say you're not sure you want to do this. You're going to click back. As soon as your mouse leaves the page to click the back button, you get this huge pop-up that's like, do you want to, whatever, something ridiculous where you kind of have to say yes, right? And then they get your email address. So it's basically, of all the people who are about to bounce, getting some of their information so that maybe you can prevent them from bouncing. There's a free tool for this called WeBounce, and we use that on our site. So if you're creating an account and you decide to click away, you get this like, quick, before you go, let us give you free access for 24 hours to one of our classes, just to check it out, and then hopefully we can get you to buy later. So we're taking, like, of this, say, 50% of people that are about to leave, can we get some of those people to sign up for an account and convert 10% of them? That would be a win, for sure. Let's check the time. All right, we're doing good. 17, adding bonuses to your offers. Giving a product plus a bonus actually has a higher perceived value than bundling the same two products together, which is going to sound a little bit weird, right? But people prefer this. They prefer to buy a cupcake for $1 and get cookies for free than to do this, pay $1 for both a cupcake and cookies. You're getting the same thing. right? But people prefer one over the other. So what are you giving to people for free when they're signing up for your product? It's a good question to think about. 18, upsells and downsells. Upsells are when someone is about to buy something and you sell them on something that's even bigger. Downsells are when they don't really want to buy the thing that you're offering them, so you then offer them like a lower tier thing, right? So when someone's ready to buy something, they're actually much more likely to buy an additional thing. They've maybe taken out their credit card already. You've convinced them. It's much higher to move that momentum into buying like an add-on. This is why Apple sells Apple Care like right when you're about to buy the product, because you've already made the investment and it's like an additional $100, sure, why not? Amazon is really good at this. They bundle these things together, right? If you're already going to buy something, then they are throwing other things into it. They actually sometimes will do this even when you click checkout, like they'll let you add coverage to your PS3. And then they try to sell everyone on Amazon Prime. I don't know if you guys have seen this too. Number 19, end your prices in 7s or 9s. For some reason, it does better. If you go around the web, you will see so many prices ending in 7s or 9s. $19, $79, $3.99. $1.99, $99, $49. I don't know. I'm not sure why. I mean, they think it's because to people, like $9 seems less than $10 because it's like one less number. And maybe that's, but that doesn't explain 7s. I can't explain all of this stuff. All right, number 20, showing progress during checkout. Use like a progress bar if you have a multiple step funnel. That applies also for the sign-up process. If people don't know where they are in your process, then they're going to get more frustrated, especially if you show them an additional page. So like I mentioned before, Amazon does this right at the top. You see that there are 4 steps. And don't start people at 0, because it kind of gives you this feeling like you have this whole way to go. Number 21, adding live chat support on the checkout page. If people are like hesitating on your checkout page, it's actually pretty easy, and especially for expensive and complex products. If you have a live chat, that means the difference between a sale and an abandonment. So HubSpot, for example, if I've been on this page and kind of thinking about it for a while, this pop-up comes up here, and there's a person who actually talks to you. OLARC and LivePerson are 2 easy tools for doing this, and it's actually a really great way to get feedback. So you can read the chat transcripts and discover objections that you can address earlier in the funnel. All right, now we're getting more into referral. When it comes to growth hacking, I actually like to think about what Dave McClure calls pirate metrics, or R, right? Like activation, or acquisition, activation, retention, referral, and revenue. And when I think about all these things, I actually divide them into those stages. Because as a growth hacker, that's the most useful way to think about a product and where you can identify the bottleneck. So in my head, I'm actually placing all of these strategies I mentioned into areas of this. And now we're talking about the referral stage, which may not be the most relevant for you and your product, depending on like where your bottleneck actually is. So that's important to keep in mind. Try to identify where your product is currently lacking and where you can best focus the resources on that. And hopefully someone else will talk about that later today. But when you look at the referral pages of most of the big products out there that do referral, this is Dropbox, you'll see 5 main things. You're going to see email, like invite someone with an email, bulk individual emails, so like either everyone in your address book or people individually. You'll see a direct link, Facebook, and Twitter, 5. This is Instacart. You have the direct link, email, Facebook. They don't have Twitter, which is interesting, right? I'm sure they've tested Twitter, and they actually decided it doesn't work for them. This is SpoonRocket, I believe. They have the same things, Facebook, Twitter, Gmail, copy, and invite people. Airbnb has the same thing. Gmail contacts, enter your friends' emails, the link, and share on Facebook and Twitter. Although definitely Facebook and Twitter are much less emphasized, whereas the email one is much more emphasized. Once you've started putting all the 5 out there, you can test. And this is Skillshare, I believe, the same 5. Uber as well. So that means direct URL, and let people copy it or just copy it directly. This is going to be a little bit of Flash on your site. It's like the most outdated technology. It's going to make your site very vulnerable, but that's okay. the Facebook, Twitter, email, bulk email, and then you can get creative. There was a site that used WhatsApp, like depending on what market you're targeting, right? 23, using symmetric bonuses. So if you're asking someone to share, then give them and their friend a bonus if they actually share it. Dropbox did this really well, right? If you use Dropbox and you get someone to sign up for Dropbox, then you get an extra gigabyte of space, and so does your friend. Airbnb does this, where you both get $25 of credits. Instacart does this. SpoonRocket does this. The original version of this actually went all the way back to PayPal, right? Where they paid people to sign up. They paid you to get your friend. You got $25 when you signed up. You got more money when you signed up your friend. That's kind of dangerous, right? Because you don't want to pay people directly, but if you can incentivize them with something in your app, that's pretty good. 24, optimizing your referral landing page. So if someone has actually sent an email to their friend, for example, and they get to your site, what does the page look like when the friend gets there? You're not dropping them on your home page, hopefully, right? You're getting to a page like this. And why are you asking them for their email if you already know their email? If you already have information about the person because their friend gave it to you, put it into that form and make things easier for them. But just make it simple and make it very clear what you want them to do. That's Dropbox. Airbnb, I think, has a really personal one that I like. Like, you want to see your friend's face on that page. Instacart, Skillshare, really simple. And Uber as well. So streamline the registration flow, put in their info in the form if you already know it, deep link to mobile landing pages if you're able to get them directly there if you have a mobile app. 25, we're almost there. Give people a status on their invites. So if they've invited their friends, then on Dropbox or on SpoonRocket, it can actually show who you invited and whether they've accepted or not. This allows you to then remind your friends, like, hey, you sent an invite to your friend, but they never accepted, so remind them. And it's going to make the actual conversion rate from referral much higher. But don't be a downer. Like I said, don't show people the number 0. Like, why would you show them that they haven't invited anyone? Why not just show them the actual link to invite people already? Right? Well, there's nothing more depressing than showing like a big fat 0. Number 26, send re-engagement email. I see a lot of startups ignoring email, and it's really a shame. I think it's because there's not one big player that is, they're going to incentivize email. Like with Facebook, you have Facebook, and Google has Google, but like no one really talks about Gmail and why it's so valuable. But if you're not using email, then when someone signs up for your site and they never come back again, then it's like no wonder they never come back, because you never send them an email to get them to come back. And that means more than just a welcome email when they sign up. That means 2 days later or 3 days later. With Dropbox, they send out this email in between when you sign up if you actually never install the software. So they track that stuff and then send you an email 24 hours later just as a reminder to download Dropbox. In Eventbrite's case, they send an email 30 days after you've signed up if you haven't logged back in. That's actually like, it was kind of sweet. It says, it's been a few months since we've seen you, and well, we kind of miss you. Come back to the site, like create an event. So on 1 month, we kind of copied this, and we write this email that says, the subject line is, I've been worried sick about you. And then it says, we were off to a great start, you and I, then not so much. You signed up for my class, and I thought things were going well, and then all of a sudden, no emails, no calls, you didn't even log in? Are you trying to tell me something? So my co-founder wrote this, and he puts his phone number in there, like his personal phone number that says, like, call me, tell me if something's up. I don't think anyone's ever called him yet. But people respond to this, and they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean, I'm going to do it right away, I hurt my hands or something. It really works. 27, use Segment. I love this product. They're not sponsoring me or anything. They are another YC company. Segment is a great tool that allows you to put tracking code on your site just once. So if you've ever used like all these different growth hacking tools, you'll realize they ask you to put code on your site to measure conversions. Those really start to add up after a while. So now you can just do it once, and you can track these things and then connect it to all these different services. So now all of your data is going to all the places, and they take care of like dealing with the APIs and stuff. It also means that you can like go down the list and check all of the tools that are out there, which is a cool place to learn about new tools. And the last two are kind of experimental. Actually, these are just ideas that I've had that I've not seen anyone use yet, but I figured I would share with you guys. The first is to change landing pages based on traffic sources, right? And Groupon did this, like I showed you before. They show you a different page if you went there directly versus from Google. But what about if you show someone a different page, whether they come from Facebook, Twitter, or directly to your site, right? Because they have different intentions, don't they? They're in a different mindset. We know that people who come from Facebook or from Twitter are less likely to convert. Like they're in the middle of doing something, and maybe they'll give you their email address, but like then they're going to be out, right? So we can actually address that now, and we can address based on a referral source, but I haven't really seen anyone do it yet. 29, adding referral codes to every URL. So all of the sites that do referral code have that special link that you can share on the referral page, but what about the other parts of the site? There was this article by The Atlantic that talked about something called dark social, which is like all of the social traffic that they're not able to measure because people are just copying the site directly and sending it to their friend over email or over IM, like using sources that don't pass through referrer data. So just like you can actually put in someone's user ID in that sharing code, why not put that everywhere on the site if they're logged in? Why not always have a number at the end where if they share any site, anytime they're on the site, and share it with a friend, then you identify, oh, this is a different person. You create like this connection for them, and you start to have this graph of all of your users and who shared what with who. People rarely ever actually delete these like additional parameters at the end of the page, even though they're optional anyway. And bonus one, number 30, do the opposite of everything I just told you, because it's just a test after all. And sometimes you end up with weird stuff like this, where if you make a button bigger, you actually get less conversions. And I don't know why that happens. But if you're not doing this, you're doing yourself a big disservice. So that's it for me. This is my email if you want to ask me any questions or get in touch. And check out onemonth.com to check out all of our courses. We have 1 month growth hacking. We have a 1 month iOS, a 1 month Rails class. And I'll be around if you have any more questions. Thank you.